JSON. Viper can be used to read configuration from JSON files. Now we will try to create a JSON file, then read the contents of the configuration using Viper. Now we create a second folder. We'll try to read the JSON file with Viper. Next, we create a test file by creating the first init-config function. In this function, there will be a process of calling parameters from the JSON file with the help of the Viper package. We create a JSON file. Here I have prepared the parameters. Let's just copy them. There are parameters that will later be called by Viper. The init-config function is used to initialize the application configuration using Viper to facilitate configuration management. Initially, viper.setConfigName with parameter input configs is used to set the name of the configuration file to be read, namely config, no extension. Then viper.setConfigType with parameter input JSON is used to determine the configuration file type, which in this case is a JSON file. Next, viper.addConfigPath with parameter.adds the current directory.input as the location where Viper will look for the configuration file. Once the basic configuration is set up, viper.readandConfig is called to read the configuration file. If an error occurs during the reading process, the AF block will catch the error and print an error message using log fatal, which also stops the application execution. Next, we create a test.json function that will be built into unit test using Viper. First, we call the init-config function that we have created. Tips for creating variables based on parameters in the ML file. First, the variable appName takes the string value of the appName parameter. For the string value of the parameter in the file, we use the viper.getString function. Both port variables take integer values from the port parameters in the file. Thirdly, create a debug variable taking a Boolean value from the debug parameter in the file. Next, dpost, dabapor, and debuser access the configuration from the database subcategory, respectively getting the host, port, and database username. Next, the function prints all the values obtained using fmtprint. This includes information such as the application name, app name, port, debug mode, debug, database host, database.host database port, database base, port, and database username, database. Username. This test helps ensure that the application can properly access and read the configuration from the prepared JSON file. We will try the following test, the results of which are all the values in the ML file parameters can be retrieved.